Well, chat. Today's not Sunday, right? But here we are on a weekday, on a very special day, actually. Because yesterday, we finally did it. Yesterday marked the beginning of Season 6. Officially. Guys, the beta links, everything is in the description. Download the beta build itself, the ROMs, read about it on our blog. Welcome, everybody, to this very special 86 Box Live transmission, May 18th, 2026. It is so good to be here. This is not going to be a usual stream. We're only going to go for about maybe 2 hours because we're doing this on a Monday. We're doing this on a Monday after all, and if you guys know, our transmissions are always on Sundays. We do have quite a bit to go over today, including, for those that weren't aware, all the new features that were added in 86 Box, from 5.3 to present day. But we've used a couple nightly builds here and there depending on the situation, because of course Season 6 preview, that was our first stream. But here we are. A lot of people in chat here, including Dumb Floppa, Broken Saw, Joshua Maitland, a very familiar name over on our Twitter. Follow us on Twitter at 86box emulator, Blue Sky at 86box.net. Kiro Rami is in the chat. We got all the people in here. We got all the regulars. Good to see you guys. So, got quite a bit to go over. As I said, the beta. The wonderful beta that is build 8950. As I said, all the links are in the description. The beta build for every single platform, the ROM set, the assets. Actually, not sure if you guys noticed, but the assets do ship with every nightly build going forward, and that is also true of the beta. Dumb Floppa, you interrupt my Wii soft modding, but nice to see you again. Well, I think it's time to start multitasking, buddy. It's time to start multitasking. I hope you won't hear that dreaded sound if you do something crazy on that thing, but... So, the beta of version 6, it does include quite a few machines here and there. And I can tell that, freaking Streamlabs just reset the entire chat, as usual. So we got quite a bit to go over in today's build. So for starters, we're going to go ahead and pan over to the one, the only, 86 Box 6.0 beta build 8950. And this is just a teaser for what's about to happen today. I was working on a few things on this virtual machine and I did not shut it down. Oops. It happens. But yeah, as you can tell by the title, last stream we actually did install Windows 95 on this particular machine, the A-Crosser. Hold on a second. The A-Crosser PJ A511M. The VOD is already out. The VOD is already out on our channel. But it was probably like the most agonizing 4 hours of my entire life. Probably the longest live stream I've done, not just in this channel's history, but in my personal content creation career, which is wild. So, to answer your question, Oleg, it does have quite a lot of new things in there. I'm sure there are a couple of machines here. Let's go ahead and pull up the quick little changelog of version 6 real quick. Alright, blog, there we go. Hello there. All right, so this came out last night, and there's quite a few features in there that I'm sure you guys are all aware about because I've made a few live streams about them a couple of times, namely the hard drive sounds. There's a lot of this that I haven't really tested. For example, the local switch, I haven't tested. Serial parallel stuff, I haven't really tested. The SCSI drive tapes, but there's been a lot here, and this is particularly why season 6's theme is full speed ahead, kind of honing in on this fast forward theme, which we did use a little bit. We did test it a little bit in our Ali M6117 last stream. Every download link is in the description, actually. 86box is so stable that doing fixed releases don't even make that much sense. It depends on who you ask. From a user perspective, it does make sense because you're not constantly bugged to update. It's like, oh, did they fix this? Did they fix that? Like, if there's something major that needs to be fixed, we usually have always put out a, what's it called? We've always put out like a minor update. Like, for example, 4.2, we had 4.2.1. So if anything usually happens, if there's something major that we need to fix when 6.0 comes out, if there's anything major that we need to fix when 6.0 comes out, you can always do something like 6.0.1, and then whatever features usually come out in 6.1, 6.2, like the more substantial minor releases. So yeah, there's been a lot of changes done to the toolbar, for example, fast forward, screenshots, but there's some of you guys, well, that haven't really seen anything. There's a lot here. For example, they moved the key bindings. You know, it's more of a global thing now instead of being per machine. And since we have like 9 million video cards, we've merged like all the chipsets. Like, for example, if you want to pick the Vision 964 that I've been using in not just NC4, 95 at times, Windows 3.1, you guys know where I'm going with this. You can either pick the Diamond Star 64 VRAM, the Elza winner, whichever. I'll get a little detail about that maybe a little later as we finish going through this. This is MDS, like for MDS, MDF, CD, DVD images. Nothing crazy. Oh, Windows on ARM, actually. We finally officially support that. And for you guys that are somehow still on anything older than macOS 11, if you guys are still on the 10 series, you know, we're bumping it to macOS 10.14 now. And there's everything that you guys need to know about all the machines that we've added, all the machines that we've everything that we've updated, changed, you name it. But that's that. Let's actually go through personally one of the biggest changes in 86box. We're gonna go in here. I'm gonna go into settings. And mind you, the machine settings were always like a bit of a mixed bag. Actually, let me just close this. Just gracefully close this. I'm going to create a new machine just so you guys see what I'm talking about. We're going to go through this step by step. My only Windows on ARM device is a OnePlus 6Ti Force. Dude. Like, what? Is it possible to make automatic downloads of new? No. I don't quite understand where you're going with this, but no, we don't. I don't think we do that. So I always have a myriad of machines for testing purposes, but of course we're gonna create a new one. You can tell I have like 65 machines over here. One more and I'll probably get to 67. I know there's a couple of people in chat that like the number 67. You absolute children. All right, new configuration. I don't know. Okay, fine. I'll fall for the meme just this once. All right, so the moment you create your machine, you're presented with this. Now, if you guys remember, we never had like tabs on this. Everything was just in your face. Well, it was a lot worse back in the 2.x days. It started getting better over time, but you know, to a degree, it was always a mess. So let's start with the machine tab. The first thing you're gonna see is that we have tabs for quite literally everything. Here you can pick the machine type. You can even look up a machine. For example, our beloved Gigabyte GA58X, the Killjoy's favorite machine. The Killjoy's favorite machine. As you guys know, this machine is vulnerable to CIH, but I have a feeling that this machine as well might be vulnerable because according to some research that I believe Plant did a couple years back, that machine did have the very specific flash needed to invoke the payload. So this is something that we'll be testing later on probably, but you can look up any machine that you want in there. This is probably one of the biggest changes. For example, if you early religious viewers of the channel know, I particularly like this one motherboard by Soyo, the Soyo 4SAW2, which is a really good 486 machine. This thing can go as far as 255 megabytes of RAM, which is crazy. It's like, well, who would need this much? I'm like, if you're running a 486, like if you're running a whole server, probably something that actually does require RAM, you know, they didn't have generative AI back then. They didn't have like such like RAM intensive applications there. But actually, let's do a little something different. I'm feeling a little 386 here, you know. So around here over in the 386DX department, we've got quite a few machines. Let's try something I haven't tried. I think this particular machine was under a different name. If I go back to some of the older videos, I think this machine went by a different name, the Juco AT046DX3. If someone could go through our video archive, and I think it was one of the shorts. Or maybe no. Actually, it might have been the CD-ROM drive and MS-DOS video. Now that I think about it, yeah, I think it might have been that. But anywho, this particular 386DX machine supports up to 16 megabytes. So compare that to the 32 megabytes that this machine supports. It's definitely like, sure, trust me, it's way better. I'll get to chat in a minute. All right, so 386DX, Intel Rapid Cast. So this machine's pretty decent, I want to say. We're going to give it 25 megahertz. We're not going to go too crazy with it. So processor tab, you can pick your CPU. You can choose to add an FPU if you want. Performance, you can use the 486 interpreter for better performance. The PIT mode, I think that's mainly for 8088, 8086. So there we have it. That's everything on the machine front. Now over at the display side, once again, you can type in whatever you want. For example, if you want, you can type in actually no, you can't do that because that machine does not support anything from any PCI graphics cards. No, it doesn't even. Okay, so that's not even on the list. That's not even on the list. So for S3, we have a few choices. We have a few choices here. We have the 801 that I've used for several boards. I think I used it here too. But here's how this works now. So, or heck, I think we'll probably just try Trident. Let's see, configure. Yeah, there we go. So the Trident TVGA 8900, which is a graphics card I've used on things like Windows 2.x. Yes, thank you, Floppa. That I remember. That's what I used. Thank you. I think it was one of those, the 8900B or D or whatever. But the point of this is, if you pick any card here, for example, the 801, you just go to configure, and you can choose between the Phoenix BIOS or the SPEA V7, which I've used in this particular machine here. But we're just gonna go ahead and stick with the Trinet. Where are you? Where are you? Actually, if you think about it, for the copper build, we actually used this particular revision of the Tseng Labs ET4000. So just for the sake of simplicity, we're gonna stick with the Trident. No, not this one, the 8900. There we go. Yeah, there you go. And then of course you can choose the memory side. On the memory side of things, like just choose how much RAM you want. There you go, 1 megabyte. Call it a day. And then the monitor side. Okay, one more thing here, chat. One more thing here. Everything here except for the monitor EDID, which is not something I personally use. You can change all of those settings without requiring a hard reset of the machine. So usually whenever you change something in the machine, whenever you change anything in here, 86box will always require a hard reset. But in this case, you can change anything here without needing to reset your machine. Now, for example, historically, you've never needed to hard reset your machine when, you know, just by turning overscan on. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. If you guys remember in 5.3, we used to have those here, the key bindings. They're now global. I'll look at that in a second. Okay, so all this is good. I'm just gonna keep it here. So we'll just keep it there. Mouse. Again, the usual, nothing crazy. Sound card, I think I'm just gonna version 1.5. Nothing crazy. System MIDI, call it a day, whatever. Network card. We're probably not going to go over that. But yeah, so far, better machine screen. You get to pick your machine here, how much RAM you want, the CPU type and speed, and now everything is a bit more organized. Now, this is a 386 machine, so we're not going to really be doing any networking, but local switch finally made it to Windows. And of course, you can pick whatever, dang it. You can pick whatever network card you want, but we're not going to be taking care of that today. There have been a couple of updates to serial and parallel communications, but we're not going to worry about that for this stream. Nothing crazy in terms of, which I'm just going to do internal. Actually, no, I can't even do that, chat. PS2, okay, no. I'm not gonna, I think I'm just gonna do this. Just call it a day. Internal device here, that's fine. I think it's just put the usual in there. Alright, chat. We're just gonna take care of this. And guys, one more thing, which I'm sure you guys have heard of, hard drive sounds. That's been a pretty massive addition to has been a pretty massive addition to 86box. I'm just gonna go ahead and create a 504 megabyte hard drive. Now, very important, make sure you pick a speed that is 3600 RPM. We're just gonna go with 1992 over here. Doesn't matter whether you pick VHD or IMG or whatever else, really. Just make sure that the model is 3600 RPM. I'm gonna go ahead and save that real quick. All right, where's that machine, chat? Where is that machine? 667 minus 1. All right, there we go. Bingo. Of course, gonna tell you, remember to partition and format your newly created drive. All right, so this is where the magic happens. You click on here, you have your bus, you have your channel IDE 00, model 1992, 3600 RPM. You go to audio. That's where the magic happens. You either have the mini scribe 8425, you have the IBM H3171, and then Bigfoot is real. Bigfoot is real. I'm just gonna stick with that actually, just for the memes. And then, of course, there are tabs here for either floppy or CD-ROM drive. We're just gonna do floppy drive machine for this one. And then we're gonna go ahead and move this to the usual, which is 3.5 inch, 1.44 megabytes, and 5.25 inch, 1.2 megabytes. Now, for 3.5 inch, you can pick basically whatever you want. We have the Panasonic 5.25 inch, we have the Optoelectric with 3.5 inch, and then the Epsons for either drive. So we're just gonna stay a little consistent here. We're gonna go with Epson for both. We're going with the SD800 for the 3.5 inch and the SD700 for the 5.25 inch. It just makes sense. And over here we have the tape drives. That's something I'm gonna give a try a little bit later because I haven't really found the need to experiment with that just yet. And over here we don't really need to do anything. So there we have our brand new 6.7-1 machine. All right, let me catch up. All right, so let me catch up with chat real quick. All right. So where was I? Yeah, 6.7 and 600 golden numbers. Yeah, I do know my audience. Can I demonstrate the most powerful computer? All right, so I have to be extremely clear when it comes to fast forward. This does not mean that you can just emulate a Pentium 2, for example, a 300 megahertz Pentium 2 on whatever low-end CPU you have, and then just expect it to run as fast as an actual Pentium 2. That's not gonna happen because the emulation technology we use for 86 box is still the same at its core. You know, everything still depends on your host CPU. For example, my main rig is an 11th gen i7, specifically the i7-11700F. In my experience, I've only been able to properly emulate, Pentium at around 133 to 150 megahertz if I want to stay on the safe side. Granted, of course, I've done a lot more than that because you guys, I don't know if you guys were here in a couple previous streams. Last stream, I did start my Windows 7 machine, and that thing was a 400 megahertz Cyrix 3, and that shit was slow. So yeah, don't expect to just put in a Pentium 2 or Celeron or a Cyrix 3 or what have you and expect it to run as fast. So I just wanted to make that clear. If you're running, for example, if you're running an 8088 and things will look a little bit slow, yeah, you can probably just go crazy with it, but don't just abuse the fast forward feature. It's not gonna work. We got Broken Saw here, who's a certified Longhorn hater. There's a huge respect for the motherboard searcher. Thank you. I see Floppa as well. Thank you. This is honestly a very time-saving feature. I wonder if the developer of 86 Block can add a machine for the old Mac. No, we're not headed towards that territory. I've said this a couple times. We're only doing anything that's like x86. As you guys know, macOS ran on Motorola 68K, and then PowerPC, and then Intel, and then back to ARM64. And somehow, they're the most powerful computers to run 86 box on. So no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. But 86 box, well, I don't know. Look, guys, 86 box does run on Mac. There's a reason why. There's a reason why we've been pushing those machines as jokes on our Twitter. And we're like, every single time we just go on CPU benchmark and we're like, look, chat. Every single time. What is this? M5 Pro, very close to 6,000 points on Passmark for single thread. And then every single time we have a tweet saying, imagine buying a $5,000 Mac just to use 86 bucks. No, it's crazy. And then of course we have the usual suspects from Intel. Actually, I'm barely seeing AMD in the list, which is interesting. This means that Intel is still has been dominating in the single thread market for the last 10 years. A couple Snapdragon X2 Elite. Qualcomm is picking up speed there. Interesting. You should make a spreadsheet with all the software and hardware you use in HV. Yeah, definitely. So one thing I've actually been thinking of doing, Floppa, is making a spec sheet list of my own, like the known machines that work with each operating system. You know, just posting my personal configs. You know. You built a 2,000 piece. Okay, wait. You built a $2,000 PC mainly for a. Oh. Laduca. All right, buddy. Post your specs. Post your specs. Post your specs. $2,000 PC. The question is, chat, when did he build it? Because RAM prices are pretty bad right now. I can probably go on Newegg right now. Or Micro Center. Alright, let's look. DDR5. It's over. It's over. So right. Oh man. Chat. Look at this. It's 16 gigs for $220. Hold on, let me just do this for chat. Calm down. Calm down. There we go. $220 for 16 gigs of RAM. And 32 gigs of RAM for like $500. It's over. It's over. My little sister tried 86 bucks on my old laptop with Intel Core 2 Duo and 4 gigs of RAM. So how'd that go? How did that go? But just gotta keep things a little simple here. All right, so let's go ahead and boot our meme machine here, chat. And one more thing as well. If you guys look here, I have the pause button, the fast forward button, which by the way, if you click it, bye-bye floppy and hard drive audio. We have our usual hard reset, ACPI shutdown, control alt escape, control alt delete, settings, and as you can see here, I'm actually going to go ahead and switch over to the other overlay. As you guys can see here, we have screenshot buttons, which means take a screenshot or you can just copy it to the clipboard. Now, a couple stipulations with this one as well. You can now take raw screenshots. This is particularly useful if you guys are using shaders. Like, let me just do this right here. Just go to render, switch to OpenGL, render options. Always use target frame rate. 1 second. We're going to go ahead and do the casual trick. Alright, so we have this particular shader here. We can update it. We can change whatever we want in there. So here's where here's where this comes into play. So we're going to take one more screenshot here, and then we're going to take a raw screenshot. You guys are going to see the difference. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and open the machine's directory. Open folder. Now, we have the machine here with the Grizzly NTSC VCR shader. Mind you, all of those are GLSL, open source, do whatever you wish with them. But if we go here, we have the screenshot that contains this shader and it's in 4:3 aspect ratio. And then next to it, we have the raw screenshot, which doesn't have any shaders and actually is like the actual size, the actual display resolution of the machine. So there y'all have it. But to be fair, I'm not a huge fan of this shader, so I'm just gonna take it off. There we go. So let's go ahead and configure this thing right here. So 1.44 megabytes. Actually, hard disk utility. No hard disk installed. Chat, what is this? Alright. Hold on. Okay, user type 1024, 1663. Alright, I guess this machine can't auto detect. Yeah, some machines are like that actually. Some machines, unfortunately, are like that. They don't auto detect the hard drive, but that's fine. We're gonna go ahead and demo this by installing MS-DOS 6.22. Easiest install in the world. Let's be real. Then we'll just show you guys how to install DOS shell. Alright, so write to CMOS and exit. Starting MS-DOS. So just as a reminder, if you guys are torturing yourselves by installing MS-DOS 6.22 on a really underclocked machine and it takes forever, you can just hit that fast forward button and call it a day, allegedly. So this is just gonna be the usual: configure unallocated disk space, you name it. Oh, and one more thing as well, actually. If you want those to be a little louder, go to sound gain. You can actually increase it. And you have an actual level to increase it to. 12 decibels, 14. I just keep it at plus 12. There we go. That's better. How fitting, as someone whose name is Turbo Rider loves to use the fast forward feature. I think the irony right now is presenting itself, because we're using a 3600 RPM hard drive. You know, for the auditory bliss, mind you. But if we choose to speed things up by just hitting fast forward, it is going a little faster. Not as fast as we'd hope, but it is going faster. all this talk about Core 2 Duos just got me hungry for some Core 2 torturing. Windows 11 and 86 box running on a Core 2 Duo. You should make a slowdown feature. I like watching slow Windows installs. Well, Homelander, have I got something for you, buddy? I was thinking, oh, mind you, this is on record, mind you. I was thinking that maybe, just maybe, you can see the percentage here. It's gonna be like 5 times speed. I could perhaps record myself installing Windows 95 or insert Windows version here on some of the slowest fucking hardware available on 86 box. No commentary, mind you, but just to see how long it's going to go for, and just put it up as a video. You know, I would genuinely be surprised to see if anything in here, if any of those potential videos ever hit something like 10 hours. All right, so the formatting has completed. Settings are correct. It is May 18th, 2026. It is, okay, the time's a little bit off actually. Yo, guys, okay. This actually speeds up the time. Mind you, I enable time sync in this machine, but here's the thing. Right now, on here is 3:43. There's 3:43 local time, and this thing thinks it's 3:49. Once you hit fast forward, there is no more time sync. Once you hit fast forward, there is no more time sync. DOS. All right. I used XP back in the day with the Core 2 Duo. Nice. Which one would be slower? The slowest hardware you can emulate, or you downclock your CPU to something like 800 megahertz and set it to emulate a Celeron 533. Yo, could someone take this message and send it to Harrison in the Discord server, aka Microsoft Windows NT 3.1? Yo, I think that would. Okay, so for starters, guys, join our Discord. Join our Discord. So for a while, one of our esteemed Discord members, who is a self-proclaimed masochist when it comes to doing shit like this, somehow this guy has actually, I'm not even sure if he hops in chat sometimes whenever we're live, but he tried it for himself. He tried installing Windows 95 on that PJA 511M board, the Ali M6117 board that we were experimenting with all stream, and allegedly it took him like 6 hours. And this guy calls himself a masochist. So, Floppa, if you could go tell him that, it's just to see how he reacts, bro, because I think this would be actual masochism when it comes to this thing. Like, imagine actually downclocking your rig just to do this, bro. Like, similar to La Duca's, I built myself a 3,000 euro rig end of 2024 with 64 gigs of DDR5 6000 RAM and RTX 3090 just for programming, gaming, and 86 box. The system can barely handle a K6 with 400. Woo, okay. Can barely handle a K6 with 400 megahertz. That's wild. CPU single core performance is the most important for. Yes, this is particularly why I've referred to that list on CPU benchmark for the last couple of years. Actually, there was one of our contributors who made a whole list to see, you know, to give a rough estimate as to what CPUs what CPUs you could potentially emulate depending on your pass mark score, depending on your CPU's pass mark score. So for example, all right. So for example, if you're on a if your score is 4,000, is around 4,000, you can do 300 megahertz. You can do a Pentium 2 300 megahertz. 3400 is Pentium 2 at 233 megahertz. 2600's 200 megahertz, with 1600's like 75 megahertz Pentium, and then lower than that, you're just stuck at 486. So it really, really depends on what you're able to do, and you know how the CPU is built as well. Let's see if I still have that open. Where is it? There you go. So normal. Okay, so normal K6 is fine, but K6 3, huh? Also, it's a Ryzen 7950X. Got you. All right. So while this thing is installing, let's go ahead and take a look. Shadow is late. Well, listen, buddy, this is not the usual schedule. You'll be fine. All right, so let's see. Where is the 7950X? 7950. What is the 7950X? So 7950X is sitting right now at 4254. Which is not bad, actually. Which isn't bad. Where's mine actually? Where's mine? The 11. Okay, so mine. My particular rig right now is sitting at 3257, and no, not the ultra, not the ultra. There we go. And I do have a MacBook Pro with an M1. It's currently sitting at 3674. So right now, this is the most powerful machine in my arsenal. My 13-inch 2020 M1 MacBook Pro. And meanwhile, we have the M5 like just straight up ripping every benchmark on the planet. And the Core Ultra 5 CPUs are actually doing fairly well for themselves. So imagine anyone that has like an M3 Ultra. And mind you, those Mac Studios with the M3 Ultras are ridiculously expensive, chat. Yo, can someone get Underwave News, please? Can I eat fried 86 box with Windows 95 French fries, buddy? All right, we're down to our last floppy drive, our last floppy disk for MS-DOS. Try Windows 3.1 in 4.77 megahertz. 3.1 does not work on an 8088. This has already been tried. My system can almost handle the Pentium 233 because I have a Ryzen 5 5600X. That's a pretty decent CPU. This thing is probably at, like, let me see. No, not VXT. Oh, so the performance is actually fairly similar to mine, Josh. It's currently sitting at a 3366 on Passmark. So Shadow, today I'm demoing the new features in the beta. I'm sure you guys have already seen most of the features in previous live streams, but I'm just going over them all today. For example, I just demoed the floppy and hard drive disk sounds, as you can definitely hear. And fast forward as well. Well, you can't have them both. Because once I turn it on, you will either have to be exposed to Nightcore hard drive and floppy drive sounds, or, you know, just deal with the speed that you get. There we go. And now we're done. Actually, it should have beeped, but I guess not. Alright, so it did in fact install it. Sadly, having the constraints of a 1235U. I'll check that in a second. Let's go ahead and install DOS Shell real quick. Luckily, this is pretty easy. If your MS-DOS 6.22 install kit comes with the supplemental floppy disk, just put it in. Fairly simple. Just remember which directory you install DOS in, and then just do this setup and then the path where you install DOS. Fairly simple. So we're just gonna install all the components. What's this slick tune playing in the background? The music is from our friend State Azure. He's provided the music for our videos for the last 4 years. Go ahead and check which song that is right now. It's Blue Shift by State Azure. I'm gonna post that in the chat actually. Alright, so since we're using a common VGA card, just hit F5. Oh my god, yo, I'm gonna have to take Underwave News' weird privilege away, boss. Like, come on. Like, that. There's already a file name. Okay, I don't think I need to do any of that, to be fair. The fact that they still include Edlin is crazy. At least we have a couple of basic files to play with. I haven't played anything with QBasic like in quite a while. I'm gonna think of it. Final Space, that I don't know, because I personally have not used CacheOS like at all. But the performance should be the same. I don't know, don't quote me on that. If there's another CacheOS user in the Discord, which by the way, discord.86box.net. There's another CacheOS user in the Discord. Maybe the I think the performance shouldn't be that big of a hit to performance. So remove the floppy disk, give it a restart, and we should be done. Oh god, if Flop was a CacheOS user too. There you go. Alright, so of course, to access the DOS shell, just hit DOS shell. And it just makes your life so much easier. Just dig through the directory here. You have your stuff here. Oh, actually, I've never. Oh, there we go. Oh, we have a Gentoo user in the chat. Wow. We actually do have a few CacheOS users in the chat. You guys are tempting me to give it a shot. Now, mind you, I did try EndeavorOS on stream once, and this was mainly to demonstrate. It was mainly to demonstrate how I set up my 86 box directories, but it's been fun so far. Just wish I could actually daily drive it. But I'm not dual booting my computer. Streamlabs is a little bit weird, Flop. I have no idea what's going on. I've never really had time to investigate because there's no real offline chat on YouTube as compared to Twitch, which the chat just runs chat just runs forever. The chat is always open on Twitch, but on YouTube, you already have to have the live stream set up, and the stream cannot be unlisted, so you can't even test it. This is just a one gripe I have with YouTube, but that is neither here nor there. Now, there's one thing I've been wanting to try for a while, and it's installing CuteMouse. You guys know I did make a video on how to install a mouse driver on MS-DOS, but it was Microsoft Mouse. there's been a few things with Microsoft Mouse. Now, mind you, it does work. It is an official Microsoft product. Okay. Look, bro, just that is weird. It's like I don't have the time to be weird right now. CuteMouse breaking Windows 3.x. To my knowledge, no, because I would not need to install CuteMouse if I already installed Windows 3. If I already installed Windows 3, you know, and Windows does have its own mouse drivers. So when I boot into the shell, it does recognize the mouse there. But no, I usually would only install CuteMouse if I'm only using MS-DOS on this machine. So let me see if I still have my, where is it? Alright, CuteMouse. Also, I have quite a few versions here. Alright, so 2.1 beta 4. Let me try that. It's fairly simple. There's been like a whole guide somewhere. I haven't done this in quite a while actually. So CuteMouse. I haven't selected the directory. Stop. Alright. Alright, CuteMouse. Give that a try. Alright, so CuteMouse version 2.1 beta 4. Alright. So it does work. Now the mouse sensitivity is a little off the rails, but it does work. And now mind you, if you guys want to know what mouse I'm using in this particular machine, I am using the Microsoft Serial, again, Old Faithful Microsoft Serial Mouse, COM1, 2 buttons. Real simple, chat. Real simple. But again, you're gonna have to do a couple of things in config.sys and autoexecute.bat. So this is a video that I still have to make. A CuteMouse, that is. But that's something I'm gonna have to figure out at some point. But just like that, you can actually get it to work and call it a day. Alright, so right now let's pivot to something else. So as per our live stream, TBH, anyone that watches the mass-produced auto-install Windows and 86 box knows the Microsoft. And there we have it, chat. Religious viewer of the channel. Thank you for your support, Shadow. Alright, so let's go ahead and pivot to something else. Now, as you guys may recall, our last stream we installed Windows 95 on what seemed to be the equivalent of the Pocket 386 motherboard, which was the A-Crosser PJ-A511M. And everyone knows how painful this was. But I wasn't done. Let me see if I still have the machine here. Yeah, it's nightly. I mean, it should be fine, but still. Now, to save time, I'm going to go ahead and pivot to another machine that I created before that entire stream. And this was just to test things. This is part of show prep, chat. We're going to pivot to this one. I already have a couple of things installed on there. So when the drums in it, yes. So if you guys remember, we actually started setting this up with 4 megabytes of RAM as per the chat's request. because they all want to see me suffer. And we sat there waiting for at least 20 minutes for setup to start. Mind you, for file copying to start. And during that time, I already booted my Windows 7 machine. Which, yes, I do have a Windows 7 machine in 86 bucks. Painful when you weren't even using a retail copy and got the... Well, OSR 2.5 never made it to retail, Floppa. I didn't have a choice. I categorically refuse to touch RTM nowadays. Despite the fact that I do have a Windows 95 RTM video on the channel, I personally don't install RTM on 86 bucks anymore. So by that logic, it's not like I had a choice to begin with. So that took a while, clearly. I got dial-up internet to work on 2.1 with the serial modem. Is it that bad? Okay, wait a minute. Is it actually that bad? No, wrong thing. It's at 100. It's at 100%. But you guys clearly see how bad this is. And mind you, 40 megahertz. But clearly this doesn't mean shit here because it's the CPU, the Ali M6117, is an equivalent of the 386SX. Which is just already as bad as it is. It's just as bad as it is. So on this particular machine, I already installed not just Internet Explorer 4, but Office 95. And quite frankly, I wasn't about to suffer on stream for this. Because I'll just say this. Installing Internet Explorer 4, for those that don't know, I probably already talked about it on stream last week. It took me, I shit you not, 3 hours to install Internet Explorer 4, chat. Mind you, this is not even supposed to be anything like extravagant. Just installing the fucking browser took 3 hours. I would have probably gone to sleep by then. And mind you, this thing is so slow I had to switch to a smaller taskbar. Okay, so is there any way to just make this thing disappear? Okay. Exit. There we go. Bye. All right. So this doesn't have pinball installed. I'm pretty sure it's on the ISO somewhere. As you can tell, I didn't even bother to. Oh, now it's redrawing itself because I removed the Office toolbar. And again. Whoa, wait, chat. So let's go for a quick game of Solitaire as we usually do. Now 800 by 600 is a fairly decent resolution for this. I had a pretty decent setup here, but honestly, I'm not in the mood for this. So, all right. So off rip, move those here. Got an ace, pretty quick. The king, have to move those here and there. Well, there's no king to put this on, I fear. Is it? Is it hover the one the CD-ROM and pinball isn't? Yeah, that's the thing. I didn't install plus on here. Let me see. I'm looking for an 8 to put here, chat. Or a 5. A red 5. Oh, there's another couple aces in here. All right. Oh, no red 5. So that means I can't move this card at all. Very unfortunate. But start by laying a couple aces here, and this can go home as well. I'll probably do this and move it here or whatever, or I don't know, chat. Yeah, there's like I kind of I don't really have a vested interest in moving this card anywhere here because, well, can't really move a card here. Wait, no, I'm missing the 2 of hearts. We're gonna commit crimes with this machine, chat. We are very much gonna commit several war crimes. Is there like a red 10? So no, there isn't actually. Wait, hold on. One of y'all saw the red jack. Ah, there it is, and I passed it again. I passed it again. Worst solitaire player on the entirety of YouTube. There we go. There's also 4 classic Namco arcade games, including the Windows 95 CD. I'll have to look into that actually. That's interesting. I think there was a 10 somewhere, wasn't there, chat? There we go. So I can move this here. Bingo. There we go. I'm in this predicament again, and I don't like it. Later, Shadow. Thank you for coming. Fun fact: Pinball in Plus was Space Cadet for Max's full tip. Yeah, I remember that. They had their own version, and then they had the version that was published with Windows. So now we have to and then is there wait before I do that, okay, I can actually pull that off. I could maybe lay another king here or something along those lines. All right. I still haven't figured out what's it called, the dial-up modem. This is something a myriad of things I do have to figure out. All right, so I can kind of pull. Wait, chat, hold up. Okay, there we go. Okay, I actually know what I'm doing. I promise. I promise. All right, perfect. All right, I'm not gonna move this jack right here. I'm gonna move this one because there's probably a couple decent cards hidden under there. All right, couple of decent cards. There's another. Yeah, there we go. All right, king goes here. I pass another queen that I should have used. All right, and there we go. What's under there? Perfect. Perfect. Okay, this is all right. This is looking more like it. This is looking more like it, chat. Wasn't there another 8 that I could have used? Huh? I don't think so. No red 5s either. Well, how unfortunate. This is one thing I love about playing those old games. It's like, bro, it actually forces you to think. It's like, get all the brain rot out of your head and actually like start thinking for once. The modem has been fine on 86 box, besides me putting the now see, chat, this is where you actually have to be careful with your configs. Okay, now I still have to, okay, 4 of hearts. Modem setup isn't that straightforward. Yeah, no, there's actually a couple other things. I still have to like nail it before I proceed and potentially say something stupid about that. Is there a 5? Okay, I need to find the 2s and 3s of this thing before I can actually get it off of there. Okay, there we go. All right, we're making progress. We are indeed making progress. But still no 5s. And I guarantee you, like, all the 5s are just hidden under there. Times are tough. Times are actually tough. Okay. Nope. It's over, I think. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Ah, shit. And that's something else. That's something I have to move out the way too. Actually, no. Actually, no. Okay. Okay, perfect. There we go. And is there? Wasn't there another 10? Is there a difference between dial-up connection and PCI Ethernet card? Can we save resources by using? I don't think so. Usually, I would recommend the dial-up modem for people who actually do want to keep like an authentic experience. But I wouldn't really have an incentive to recommend it to like anyone who actually wants to, you know, do proper things with their machine. That's like the main dilemma that we have right now. Yeah, there's no 5 in here. I think okay. I think it was just dealt a pretty bad hand. Okay, so Solitaire works on this machine. You know, no slowdowns, no nothing. This is just one thing I wanted to prove. But of course, the machine's gonna perform like shit. So let's see how this thing actually works on a 386 before I do what I actually want to do with this machine. I actually got a virtual machine for VirtualBox that emulates a dial-up modem over serial. Will probably work in a. Oh, my bad. What? I try to open Microsoft Word and it crashes. When Word cause an invalid page fault? What? So it doesn't even. So it doesn't even start. I was like, did I see this correctly? And mind you, I could have done anything. I could have installed. No, it just doesn't work. You say not enough RAM, Final Space, but this is on 32 megs of RAM. I think it's give the same exact error. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm starting. Was this install actually successful? Yeah, no, it just doesn't work. Yep, same exact error. Same exact hex codes here. All right, let's try Excel. I guess that's why Microsoft recommends a 46 machine for Office 95 and even more RAM. I have this thing maxed out. That's the crazy part. Oh, please. 32 megabytes is actually a decent amount of RAM for 95. Actually, personally, that's probably like the minimum. So Excel works, I think. Excel actually does work. Hold on. Let's see if this is actually going to work. So A1. Nope. Hold on. A1 times B1. Yeah, so, dude, Excel does work. I'm confused as to why Word doesn't. Nah. I think the install process like probably got fucked up somewhere. I have no clue. I'd be surprised if PowerPoint actually does work. And the weirdest part too is like what's it called? Okay, so PowerPoint seems to work fine. I think the install. I think something got fucked up during the installation. Nah, no, I really don't care. It appears to work. So new. I didn't use fast forward while installing. Mind you, I did this on stable, and stable didn't even have fast forward. And stable being 5.3, by the way. So, yeah, PowerPoint seems to work fine. Of course, it's slow as shit because of the because of the because of the machine we're running it on, but that preview is probably not going to show up until next year by the looks of it. Oh no. We at 86 Bucks Industries just love how long it takes to load this thing. it just pains. Like, no, I don't care. No. That's why computers must never be trusted to make a management. Like, I know better than you, PowerPoint 95. Come on. Like, oh, of course this is probably the biggest meme. I'm just confused as to why. You know? I'm just genuinely confused as to why. The time it takes for a CPU to constantly draw graphics on yeah. I mean, this is what happens when you what's it called? When you engage in emulated hardware masochism. Now, here's the kicker of the stream right there, chat. Here's the kicker of the stream right there. Internet Explorer. This thing took 3 hours to install, but I wonder how it's performing. I genuinely wonder how it's going to perform. So let's start it. Okay, I should have probably changed that. Now this is so bad, I don't even think DHCP works. So I had to go in there and put in the actual values, like for the actual IP addresses for the, for the IP, the gateway, the DNS server, the usual. I'll show them in a second. Oleg, I do not have ProtoWeb set up on this computer right now. Let's try frog find. Okay, so it does actually detect. It is actually trying to connect to the website. Yo, something's up with chat. Hold on. Something is up with. Something is up with the chat plugin for Streamlabs. This is weird. It's like I'm seeing the chat here, but it's not showing up on the actual stream. Okay, Hamadi, buddy, you're being weird. You're just gonna have to stop being weird. I'm gonna time you out, bro. Yeah, like the old net doesn't need a proxy, does it? Okay, so this is taking me straight to 5 is gateway timeout, and I don't even think it works on my end either. So I think frog find is having an issue. Well, let's give the 86 Bucks website a try then. I should get better results with that. And of course, it's making it ridiculously slow. Yeah, I think FrogFind's having issues right now. Oldnet.com. Okay, yeah. So Oldnet does work. And of course, it's taking several million years to connect. I warned him. I warned this guy, bro. So there we have it. There we have it, guys. Yeah, FrogFind is giving me a 504 gateway timeout on my host as well. So for the time being, it's over. I mean, it doesn't look the best, but guys, I have to remind you. This is not even IE 5.5. This isn't even Internet Explorer version 5.5. Even here, it's taking 9 million years to load. We planned for this, chat. Because how could we, as, you know, as emulator software developers, how could our website not work in the software that's supposed to run on the hardware we emulate? You know? And even that's taking 9 million years to load. And mind you, we've had to install Internet Explorer 4.0, and of course, seasoned viewers of the channel will know why. It's to get the better looking Explorer, and then we upgrade to version 5.5. Because as you can see here, hold on, I think it's better if I just do this on over here. Like, Windows Explorer is now a whole ass web page. Like, this is Internet Explorer. I hope you guys can realize that. It's basically the same thing. Back, forward. It's got the same things here. Could I make this, like, slightly smaller? Well, if I wanted to be fair, I could always... Well, I don't think I can make them smaller. This thing is ridiculously slow. It's insane. I could always remove the text labels. Ah, there we go. But the changes actually don't carry over to anything else. So fast forward, like I said, the emulation technology remains unchanged. So it could be emulating a 40 megahertz CPU at full speed. It would just make it like a little, at least like 3 to 5 times faster. So for example, if I tried fast forwarding this thing right now it's not even that much. As you can tell, I've been running this at about 100% the entire time. Right now I'm only getting like 145, 112. It is a little faster. Compared to if I were to turn this off. Like, it's not really going to make that much of a difference, depending on what you're running. Granted, for example, as I demonstrated earlier in the stream, for example, if you're installing MS-DOS on, say, 286 or something relatively old, or if you're formatting something, if you're formatting a hard drive, and you're just like me, you have a 3600 RPM hard drive, you want the audio, but install is going slow. So just for that, you can easily hit fast forward, and it's going to make the process a lot faster. But in situations, like for example, here we're running full-blown Windows installation, it's not going to make that big of a difference. As you see, I only gain like, what, 10-20% of extra performance. So here doesn't really make any sense. Let's see if I can actually open the blog here. That'd be nice. It is ridiculously slow, of course, but hey, what can we do? So here we have the release post for version 6 beta for 5.3. Of course, it's not going to look the best. But if it's actually readable and we can download all the pictures that are displayed on the webpage, then that would be acceptable. Mind you, this is IE4. I think, chat, I think this is a little concerning. Oh no. Well, the image isn't showing. Of course, it's not gonna. Like, what is this thing even trying to render? Let me open this over here. Yeah, there's no way this thing is actually going to render a PNG file. So what happens when I right click on there? Show picture. I can't even save the damn thing. Downloading picture. Oh, wait a minute. We're seeing something, but of course it's ridiculously slow. Oh, good lord. This is so bad. So it does in fact recognize this. What will happen if you download 86box on Windows 95 and 86box itself? The world will collapse. The world as you know it will collapse. And this will be the last 86box live transmission. Nah. For starters, that's not even going to work. It's basically the same thing that we went through earlier in the stream. But I think the fact that we can that this website is still very much usable in Internet Explorer version 4, which is like notoriously bad compared to version 6 or version 5.5 or Firefox, even whatever latest version of Firefox. Matter of fact, what if we actually tried installing Firefox on here? A last minute bit of bullshit I don't want to try is installing Firefox on here. I'm not expecting this to go well at all. All right, where's Firefox? Where's my Firefox? Okay, there you go. Where is it? Okay. So I have several choices, of course. I could always install Firefox. What? What just happened? Hello? Open up, please. Oh, this is gonna be painful. Okay, guys, I'm not even gonna risk it. I'm not even going to risk it. Okay, I have no idea. Okay. Okay, I'm going to be a bit... Oh. Guys, should we? Should we? The virtual PC died probably from bad capacitors. I don't know. Maybe. Okay. I don't know if I should do this. You know what? Let me actually try installing version 1.5 of Firefox. Not Mozilla itself, Firefox. So I can find it. Okay, there you go. On a 386 is insane. I'm just gonna copy it to the desktop. That was faster than I thought, to be fair. I was gonna take at least 2 minutes to copy a 5 megabyte file to the desktop, but I guess not. Question is it even going to run? Okay. We're getting somewhere. Kiro, I'm going to give it 2 minutes. I'm going to give it 2 minutes. If we're still at 0%, it's over. Because that machine is like, it's cursed. I have a feeling that maybe that executable has several instructions that a CPU of that level can't really handle, you know? Not really seeing much progress there, chat. But 0% will still hold in 10 minutes. I think so too. And we wait, and we wait, and we wait. There's one more thing I do want to try though, chat. Because I'm not exactly sure how that ended up here. Nope, we're still at 0%. I think this should become a series on the channels. Just actually putting that poor thing through its paces. Yeah, no, this isn't going anywhere. This isn't going anywhere. Yes, I want to cancel. I'm not doing this. I am not doing this. Besides, it's a Monday. Yes. It has a mind of its own. Maybe the line of code it's supposed to run to actually close is like it's not recognizing it. I think I'm gonna have to pull the old Control Alt Delete strat here. Oh no. Oh no. Wait, no, that's actually the. Let me not. Every single cancel button is a lie. Chat, if I may, I present to you a gem from our Discord server. You once. Oh. Chat, if I may. Thank you for the super chat, hero. It takes century to complete the installation. Oh, this isn't going anywhere, I'm sure. Okay, well, I actually got it to do something, but me, okay, it's just hiding in this little corner right here. Dude, literally. I think I should probably dedicate a whole series to this board. But a wise man once said this: a computer can never be held accountable. Therefore, a computer must never make a management decision. Is this like a kernel EX stream or something? No, actually, this is just... So last stream, Maktumi, we were installing Windows 95 on this particular board, and we all knew how slow it was. So this is just my unfinished business with it. This is basically it. If I actually try running kernel EX on this thing, this would have probably like gone haywire. I don't even want to try that. Okay, let's see if Bookshelf even runs. Oh yeah, I do need to put in the CD for this thing. Yes, unfinished business. We've all been there. Okay, chat. I'm gonna need y'all to pay attention to this. Quote of the day: the pursuit of beauty is much more dangerous nonsense than the pursuit of truth or goodness, because it affords a stronger temptation to the ego. Bars, chat. Absolute bars, especially in today's society. Shout out my boy Northrop Fry. I didn't even think we'd get hit by such bars in today's stream, chat. Okay, well, this appears to work just fine, actually. Like, just... Okay, chat. What word could we use to describe this stream? I honestly, I don't. It is quite the ordeal of sorts. Okay, let's see. Is it even gonna play the audio? Oh my. It takes like actually like 9. Hold on. Y'all heard this, right?
Ordeal.
Okay, now it played it correctly. This is so bad. Sloth. Well, it's basically worse than the sloth from Zootopia if you think about it. So what else does this thing have? It's got the source, quotations, encyclopedia. Interesting. Alright. Go ahead and find like a bar or two. How fitting. George Orwell right here. Straight bars right here. To survive, it is often necessary to fight. To fight, you have to dirty yourself. Anything else? This is very true, chat. Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. Amen. We're not gonna get into that. You know, at least bookshelf is working. Now, for my last trick today, I think I'm gonna have to put this thing out of its misery. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shut this thing down. And I'm going to do something I'll probably regret. Well, I don't know about the regret part, but honestly, this performance of this computer really feels like it's something on its last legs. So I am going to do the thing of all time. I want you guys to pay attention. And then maybe, just maybe, you'll figure out what I'm trying to do here. Let me just double check and make sure time sync is disabled. Alright, perfect. And there it is. Octumi gets it. A true and honest viewer of 86 Bucks Live, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, so while this thing actually starts, let me go ahead and just lay the bait for this thing. Inject. Alright, where's my stash? Dang it. This makes use of our virtual ISO feature. This very much makes use of this particular feature that we call virtual ISO or VISO. That way I don't have to go through the pain of doing anything. And now we wait. This is as painful as it is. Like, let's see if this thing will survive a quick break. That actually didn't take long enough. The Samsung emojis, Floppa? I don't know, it's Windows. It's Windows. It's either Windows or it's just Streamlabs. It's one of the two. I don't think I really have any control over that. But they are emojis. Oh, that sounds awful. I mean, theoretically, OLED 86 bucks could work on the Steam Deck. Because at its core, it is running an Arch-based distro that you can easily switch into KDE for, and, you know. The experience really shouldn't be that different. I believe Parker Reed, one of our Discord's members, I believe they have tried. I believe they do run 86 box on their Steam Deck. I could be wrong, but I believe they've been trying to do that. And yeah, obviously you would want to dock it. It's not something you would want to do on the go unless you're good at mapping your buttons and everything, but you'd still need an external keyboard. It wouldn't really be practical still. So let's hop into my computer where the Killjoy makes its return to allegedly take this thing out of its misery, one way or another. Yep. There we have it. So this thing is still there. There we go. Tried 86 box on Steam Deck many years ago while my system could run 486 systems and even a Pentium, but it's out of the question. Well, did you run it while it was plugged in, or did you run it while it was on battery? Because my experience, if you run this thing on battery, well, depending on your processor, they always have those little power management modes that throttle the CPU in order to save power. So you have to be careful about that. So, yes, the Killjoy makes its return. Now, if you guys recall, we broke that Gigabyte machine with version 1.4. But again, I have gotten the same results with version 1.2. So, we're going to be trying it exclusively with version 1.2. And again, this is ARP, allegedly. This is totally the address resolution protocol tool. Yes. I don't think it's going to make any difference. Now, let's look at today's date. May 18th, 2026. Let's take this back to about... Let's see. I'm wondering if I should actually do April 26, 1999 or April 26th of this year. Does it work as a normal ARP executable? Yes. Actually, I'll show you. We're giving it about 5 minutes to inspect literally everything on this computer. So, if I go into the MS-DOS prompt and I believe the desktop is CD desktop. Yeah. So there's our ARP file, allegedly. It's been let loose. So I think if I even knew how to operate this thing, it could probably just work as usual. But here's the thing. It's not the one from Windows 9X. Because I assume ARP is executable. Yeah, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Floppa. This particular ARP What? Yo, guys, was it already 12? Was it already 12? Yo, can someone in chat confirm if it already was 12? So here I was trying to make the point that this particular ARP executable came from NC 3.51, and Windows is like, nope, Or the Killjoy, rather. The Killjoy said, nope, I will not let you reveal that information about me. Alright, let's give it a... Okay. We have a blank screen. We have a black screen. We do have a pointer. I have a feeling it's probably going to be the same thing over and over and over again. So chat is saying it wasn't 12. This is weird. Hold on. This is... Let's see. Control Alt Delete. Oh, fucking hell. Alright. Somehow this thing is going at 120 hertz. MEMS is not going to work. I don't think it even supports that. I have tried MEMS on 86 bucks before. It actually does work. But I'm saving that for another stream. Yeah, no, this thing is cooked. But somehow it's running at 120 hertz, which is wild. Alright, hard. Alright, hold on. Alright, so hard reset. Yeah, this thing has actually become like super small. Okay. The payload did not pay. Wait, what? Oh, it's over. Wait, I think wait. Interesting. BIOS ROM checksum error. That's right. Okay, so I think it actually did affect the BIOS. Detecting floppy drive media. Hold on. Alright, hold on. Chat, I don't know. It's always like that when it comes to the old Killjoy. I don't know. Where's my boot disk? Actually, I think I had it here. I think I had it here. Yeah, I did. Alright, search system disk and press enter. Huh. How curious. But it's booting from the floppy drive, which is interesting. Huh. No drives found aborting. It's over. So it doesn't even recognize this, the... Invalid drive specification. No valid CD-ROM device drivers detected. Let's see what fdisk says. Oh, I mean, I figured. I figured this was the case. Well, what confuses me, chat, is... Wait. Oh, wow. Okay, I can't even... Oh, this is bad. I can't even control F12. I actually have to... No. I can't even control delete from here. I think I have to actually hard reset the machine. Because control does this. This is me hitting both controls at the same time. Stop. Yeah, that's my thought as well. Whoa. Okay. Let me try hard resetting this thing. Nah, I'm not gonna bother saving this thing. Hold on. No, it's not. It's not any. Shit! It's not even letting me boot into the BIOS. Okay, I get it, boss. Okay. All right. Just shut up. We're gonna. Okay, but good to know. We're gonna do this one last time, actually. Go ahead and clone that again. I wasn't even aware of that. We're gonna look for that particular. We're gonna go ahead and look for that particular thing and turn it off. We stop it at the source. It's like, nope, we're not doing this. Hey, yo, Bat's in the chat. Welcome, brother. We're breaking that machine probably for like the last time. All right. Was it F1 or delete to spam to get into the BIOS? No, I actually don't even remember. I mean, it's a word. It should be delete, no? Yep, it's delete. All right. So, virus warning disabled. All right. Go ahead and look through this thing. Halt on, no errors. Nah. Chipset features. Actually, Obat, while you're here, do you perhaps happen to know how to turn the boot block off on this thing? Because you just missed it. I think CIH, mind you, version 1.2 did hit the BIOS pretty badly. It just this is bad. This is actually bad, chat. Alright. So power management, I don't think it even has any of that. No, nothing about boot block here. Nothing about boot block. No. PNP configuration, no. Answer graded, no. Let me just run through the BIOS again just to make sure. Does a virus running event save it from a BIOS override? Payload? No, I don't think so. It only warns about MBR overriding. Yeah, that should be. I've always had virus warning disabled. What video did I make that discuss that primarily? I'll have to find out. I'll have to remember what it was, but setting the wait states to 0. So it's been set to default. I never touched that past 286, but sure, just give it a try. Alright, so it still has the Office 95 CD in there. And this is... all this is like pretty new too. So is it going to make any difference if the wait states are set to 0 and we get that beautiful that blank postcode? I don't know. We'll see. The fact that it's performing under 100% is concerning. You just wait there. I already have to implement my trump card. Use WinZip and compress all the hard disk and try using BIOS to save the operating system. I don't know how that would work. To be quite fair with you, I don't know how that would work. Okay, is there any particular reason why this is below 100? Chat, do we know? Nothing on my end, I'm sure. Only at 17% usage on Task Manager. But I already have Okay, I already have this thing loaded. Let's try one last time. I'm gonna copy it. And we're gonna see where this goes. Because keep in mind, this is one of the only 386 machines affected by CIH. All right, ARP, come here. You have one more job to do, buddy. I'll now proceed to copy you to the desktop. And I will go back in time. April 26th of current year. $11:55 a.m. Let's let it loose. The fact that it was slow enough to let us see the output is quite wild. We're just gonna keep this here. Let's actually try showing everyone. Oh, stop. Okay, well, I guess it instantly froze the machine. It wasn't even 12. It instantly froze the computer. What can I say? This virus is interesting in that it's just so hit or miss sometimes. But I'm seeing some network activity. Nope. It's completely frozen. There's no mouse ASMR. There's no nothing. Well, Control Alt Delete doesn't work. So the only way out of this is a hard reset. Huh. So this time it didn't even hit the BIOS. But earlier I'm sure it did. So I have a feeling this time it just hit the hard drive. Oh well. Yep, disk boot failure, insert system disk and press enter. Well, listen chat. That prior payload, I think it was proof that this thing was actually vulnerable to CIH. And this is with 0 wait states. I'm not sure if that even does anything. If Fullbat knows, I mean, I'd be willing to know as well. But we have confirmed that this particular board is in a way or two vulnerable to CIH. Because, God, that was just fucked up earlier. But I think I'm going to call it here. Because we have confirmed that our lovely AliM6117 board is vulnerable. And that's all I wanted to prove. Because last week, I was just, you know, a little exhausted from dealing with this thing installing for the last 4 hours. So thank you guys for coming to this very special transmission of 86 Box Live, and especially on a weekday. I will keep you guys posted with future activities. You can always keep tabs of that stuff on our Discord, our YouTube community tab, Twitter, Blue Sky, Reddit, Patreon. All the links are in the description. And as always, the links to download the beta, the ROM set, everything else in the description. Thank you guys for coming. I will see y'all next time.